on playing with friends. The fun never ends. Hey! Come back.
Imported Support, they've got a point on the board versus Naventic in, well, decisive fashion, J-How.
I like the fact that they just played a little bit more standard. They got away from Genji. They picked Cassia. Cassia Greymane almost interchangeable in terms of their play style. They kept it simple. They had the global on their side. They played to their strengths. That is the team I was looking for in the first 2 games.
Well, we are rolling. Let's hop into the Battleground pick to see what map we're going to. And it's Towers of Doom here, picked by Imported Support for game number 4.
Yeah, this is a completely different battleground than anything we've seen through the first 3. You don't rush the core. You do prioritize globals on this almost as much as anybody. You also run into the Zeratools, the Abathurs, things like that. Will Falstad finally see some play here? Dahaka, we've seen heavy priority on him so far. There's a lot of different factors at play in this battleground as well. We've seen Zarya. Zarya does well to control using those particle grenades. So we'll see a different style, I think, when it comes to playstyle on this battleground.
I'm curious if we're going to finally see Abathur played, though, here for these teams, because this is definitely a map where he is super prominent. You know, it's all about the late game. You can oftentimes pick a composition that isn't so hot in the early game and turn things around as long as you're able to keep up with these structures and, of course, just the lane clear. And Abathur has been banned.
Well, you know, we talked about him, but he's not going to see an appearance this game. But you got to wonder with Naventic. You know, we saw Genji played last time. It was played by Tomster. It wasn't played by Zuna because he was on Zeratul. But Zeratul, very prominent on this battleground. We also see Genji high priority on this battleground across most regions. And we know that Zuna definitely likes playing both those heroes. We'll see if we get it on first pick here.
Once again, the Muradin respect ban, but Cassia.
Is Cassia the ultimate
X
Factor right now?
She's the hot for these teams.
Wait a minute. So Muradin banned out. Anubrak finally made it through. Anubrak dominant right now, and basically everywhere.
You go a noob mouth. Just grab that.
You go a noob Greymane, and you just say, I'm taking the best heroes available. The best heroes available.
They go Ariel.
They love Ariel. How many times did we see Ariel banned against them in the open division?
Pretty much consistently, and the other thing is, I mean, yeah, it's Towers of Doom, but you pick Ariel, it's like, well, what do you think? Cho'Gall? Cho'Gall? Yeah, that's always going to be a threat with Imported. That's what they proved in the Open Division playoffs. Doesn't matter what map it is. If they have the right situation or the wrong situation, they're willing to play it.
I don't know how I would feel about it right now. You have you have the grounds for it. Now, if we see a Greymane ban, now I worry about Cho'Gall. If we don't see a Greymane ban, although Cassia Zarya, honestly, just flip Zuna over to Zarya. I told you only plays heroes that start with Z.
And you also have to worry about Tomster on Tychus.
Tomster on Tychus, Tomster on Greymane. I'll take either of those.
There's no like great situation for that Cho'Gall for sure. Well, what else are they thinking here? Obviously, the main tank of B-Kid is something they could try to, restrict even further. They've already got a new Barak. They've already banned out Muradin. Maybe they should go for the variant ban.
Again, I mean, it's something we saw very consistent through the first few games was Muradin banned out. I wouldn't be surprised if they just banned Dahaka here. Take away that global, possibly look to pick up Falstad for yourself. You take away the key elements of the first 2 games that we've seen Naventic like to run. Now, it is a different battleground. We already talked about that. They banned Tyrael. That is a very Zuna hero.
So is Zeratul. So is Dahaka.
You got to think Imported Support's got to prioritize global in the next rotation. Gul'dan obviously being one of the best Oriole batteries you could possibly hope for. Do they double it up? Is this a double up Dahaka Falstad? Just take complete control of it?
I'd be down for it. But who's going to be generating the Hope Falstad? Or maybe Vala last pick?
Again, Greymane still let through. You got to wonder if Zuna flexes over to Zarya, because, we saw the Cassia Zarya in the first game. But Zuna has played Zarya in the past. Zuna will literally play any hero, by the way.
Yeah, he's a full flex.
They've got to be contemplating it. Lunara. That's another good RL battery. And again, it falls into the same territory that I was talking about with Zarya, is that you're not going to get the same type of energy generated because it's just this slow, painful death from that nature's toxin from Lunara.
A slow, painful death. Yeah, Cassia doesn't like that poison damage very much either because it just goes through any kind of armor. Does not matter for that true damage. Now, Naventic, 2 more picks for them. Obviously, they need another frontline hero. And will it be Zuna on the Zarya? Or are we going to see something like a Zeratul?
I wouldn't be surprised if he just hops on Zeratul. I mean, we've seen them play Nazeebo in the past. I think Falstad has to be considered here.
Falstad
go Falstad. Does that mean Beakid is on Leoric? I mean,
so.
the Muradin ban could prove to be a very heavily deciding factor.
Yeah.
A Nubarak being let through is terrifying. Now, Greymane has not been picked up. And this is a hero that Imported Support has played very frequently. If it's not them, it's banned out. If it's not them, it's the other team that picked it up first. I'm surprised maybe the first couple of games shook them a little bit.
Notice, this is the first game where Genji has just been ignored.
I'm glad. If you're running Greymane, you look at the other side. There's not heavy CC. I mean, Expulsion Zone is kind of scary, but outside of that, you're looking at slows and roots. And that's it.
Final 8 seconds here to decide their last pick for the Game 4 draft. Imported Support have the momentum behind them, but they want that perfect slot. Greymane seems like a strong option, but they're going Li Ming. Even with his Zarya bubble, they're trusting in that burst damage, mainly focusing heroes like Leoric, heroes like Cassia, trying to pop them.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Calamity. The minute Cassia tries to go in for that kill shot, tries to use Fend or something like that, you all of a sudden have a high priority target. We saw Charged Blast used as well. Leoric doesn't have the highest health pool, so he becomes a priority target if you can pop that, if you can force him to walk away. And whether he goes Hardened Bones at level 4 or not, generally when you're the main tank, a lot of times you have to.
Yeah.
But you now fall into this territory of Li Ming is a little bit more appealing against this team. Again, it is up to Zarya to time those shields well. If you're looking for that instant energy, it's very easy against the Li Ming, but then you're going to have that persistent damage from Lunara to deal with as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hyping up the Li Ming against some of these heroes that are becoming prominent. You look at Cassia, you look at Genji, and different builds work, well against those 2 heroes. But we see so much. If you're playing quick match and you're playing, I mean, this isn't Pro League obviously, but if you're playing quick match, you see a Genji, E-build Li Ming is a monster threat. Standard build Li Ming, the Q build with the magic missiles, amazing versus Cassia, which is exactly what we're going to see here. And you just got to be worried about the Zarya bubble.
Everybody loves the blow up, right?
Yeah.
I try and advocate this from time to time against Zarya. Triumvirate at level 4. If you hit it at near max range, you get the cooldown on it. Zarya bubbles, her personal bubble, 8 seconds. The Arcane Orb for Li Ming, 8 seconds. If you're trying to burst through that, become that consistent damage dealer, Li Ming can fall into that, but it's really appealing and too hard to pass up on that health when you get that kill. If you can get that Calamity reset, you just heal up and you can stay on that melee range. But if you don't get value out of that, you start to wonder, is that a good talent pickup? We'll see.
We'll see, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen here in Game 4, so let's hop on in to Towers of Doom. And here we are, with Imported Support winning their sails, trying to find that island known as the HGC Pro League versus Naventic. Not an easy opponent.
That's a pretty nice island. Those are some pretty nice zebras we got there. I love those. But either way, on the right side, we are going to see the Aware, who basically made his name all season playing Ariel. So much so that it was first banned against Imported Support in multiple games. Ignition will be on our Lunara, so we'll see how that goes. Special T, we'll see if he's got any special damage he's going to be dishing out here against Naventic. Are we going to see Loon's Grace finally for Kenma at level 4?
I mean, Broccoli's 50-50 right now.
When we were on break, I just wonder how much of a difference that would have made in match.
We'll never know, J-How, because the Broccoli might be back.
Look at the Aware's hope bar.
It's always going to be full. Lunara and I mean Li Ming too. If you know that Li Ming, if you make that call, I'm going to throw my skill shots. You swap the hope generator to Li Ming for a second. That's basically a full hope bar. Lunara on her own, just too much sustained damage. Nice impale there going on to Zuna, putting some big DPS in. And ooh, that's some big damage. When that bubble's on cooldown, they got to be fearful. Already 2 wells being tapped here for Naventic.
Zuna opting to pick up the Cassia role this game. He loves the heroes that can do a lot of damage. I don't know. We don't get to see behind the scenes what they're playing with, what they're practicing with. And we don't have on record really a whole lot of Zuna on this hero. So while I think that mechanically he is one of the most sound players you will find, experience goes a long way with newer heroes.
Specialty's got to be a little bit more patient with his orbs, I feel. There was like a shield on Zuna in that last fight that was about to expire, but he was too early with the orb and fed a lot of energy to Tomster. And if that's a continued situation, well, that could end up being problematic because Tomster becomes far more effective as a damage dealer with energy.
As always, our first altar phase will be triple altar phase. That will be the 1st and 5th. We'll see how these teams approach it. Again, we have both globals in the top lane per tradition. We'll see if they concede to give that up and maybe fight for that one in the middle. We're going to find out momentarily.
And it gives Falstad just, you know, the free season marks and stacks as he hangs out in the 1v1. Doesn't have to think about it too much. Just kind of earns it slowly but surely. Leo's going to be the first one to make his way onto this bottom altar, and it's going to be the 1v1 for those other shrines. Now, looks like Anub going to stall it out for a moment here. The Beetles being a burden as they attempt to get their channel on, but they are the ones controlling the space. Both globals have finished their work in the top part of the map.
So we've seen this.
Oh, that impale was glorious on 3 targets, and just like that, imported ripped Naventic in half in the first fight of the game.
Ignition trying to get over to Malfurion, but not going to get there. He's got to be very careful with his approach as he's taking a bit of damage and zoning out the rest of the team. The Aware able to channel on the backside.
Crux MVP, and like,
oh,
wow.
The follow-up.
And B-Kid, just like that. Oh, gets the heals.
He might
the
not
impale,
be,
yeah.
That's terrifying.
That's why a Nubarak rarely makes it through the bans.
If you're not going to pick it, you're going to give it up. That's something you might have to deal with. Van Abathur, not a Nubarak. All right, Crux, he's going to go back again. I talked about him a lot. I love his playstyle. I love when he does well on heroes. I like the fact that imported support, again, playing more to their strengths. And this is the 2nd time from Special TJ. Level 4, Charge Blast, Lee-Ming. So basic attacks are going to do more damage when they get hit by the magic missiles. Looking to try and blow up that front line, not going Triumvirate, not going Dominance, but the lone and rare Charge Blast.
It can get so scary. Like you said, against a hero like Leoric, who's oftentimes sitting still, you know, with that Wraith Walk, it just powers through so effectively for the team. Power hungry at level 1, just going for the full DPS with that Q. For sure, we'll see that Mirror Ball at 16 in the late game. Gets scary.
Well, the continued approach here, the Aware being aggressive, making sure to get a bit of hope for himself as he goes in. Zuna obviously can walk away from those auto attacks, but as Specialty continues to poke him, much more difficult, and the poison damage from Ignition.
Yeah, I mean, you typically talk about that Zarya shield, but it doesn't seem to matter right now. Like, he has decent energy, but the pressure is just too much with the damage of Lee-Ming Lunara. Ariel has infinite hope. They don't need anything. The bubble was a little late there.
The timing is rough. Again,
yeah.
That is what I'm saying, is you have predictable damage, but you have to be on top of all of your clicks. You have to hit that button at just the right time. B-Kid trying to zone out as he's going against Kruk to drain hope. Doing quite a bit of work. The backside, though, we're going to see the Brush Stalker come in.
Onto Kenma. That's their target. Roots are thrown down, but the Dragon's there. Burrow charge in, and down goes Kenma. Specialty might be low in the back, but the Hope generators are there. Small little heal coming through. Crux gets another miniature heal, but Swabs Magoo won't be so lucky. Now they need to find the kills behind this. Big pressure from the Lee-Ming Lunara, but Big Impact has a lot of peel in front of him. The Burrow charge going to find a kill, but that's going to be the tribute going to Naventic.
They did gather that. Tomster taking a bit of damage, and we see the reset. No mana, though.
Oh, yeah.
Specialty not able to follow up. Splintered Spear at level 7 for Lunara is just spreading that damage and just tearing through.
They find Tomster in the mid lane as well. That's a dead Zarya. Now they're looking for this next altar here in the bottom map. Now, without Zarya for 10 more seconds, Ignition's got to be careful. The roots were good. Using that Wraith Walk to reposition, but look at the way they just turn onto B-Kid. Drain Hope might get the kill, barely edging out 1 for 1.
That is a trade in favor of Naventic. Leoric never leaves the battleground, plus his trait allows him to get back sooner. Not going to be soon enough, because Swabs Magoo will pick up that altar.
All right, the Aware is very far forward.
He's
going to need some peel. Li Ming is out of mana still. She hasn't been able to replenish that bar. This fight has just been non-ending.
Leoric already back. That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Trait value.
That's the power of that hero. You just play full Leoric, die, come back, die, come back.
Jake, we've got an early lead, again by imported support here.
They've got that momentum, and they are looking so good with this double range. Lunara, Li Ming, just constant pressure from them. And I got to hand it to the Anubarak and Dahaka as well. Like, they are making the plays. Ariel just sits back, lets them be this big bully in the front line, and throws out fat heals left and right.
You know, you always love to be that healer that puts out that, but having that Lunara on your side just makes you really shine. Again, feeding Frenzy for Dahaka. Not the synergy with his W at 7 and 13 that is so prominent. Instead, looking to get max tongue value to find an isolated target, make use of the Charge Blast, make use of Calamity, and Wave of Force, see if they can get the blow up.
Lunara thinking about the options here. You think about a caster that might get the collapse onto you, and Leaping Strike's going to be great to get away. But then you look at Malfurion being, you know, a solo target healer when it boils down to it. Yes, it's a short cooldown, but if you grab Thornwood Vines, you spread that damage so effectively. And
I think furthermore, it's also good for delay and tribute.
That's true. That's a good point.
So we'll see. He does go Thornwood Vines. I like the pickup. We are seeing Cocoon. It's something that we've seen a lot of in North America to great effect.
Nice damage on the Topster. Bubble, again, coming out a little bit late. The poison spreading so effectively. Thornwood Vines helping with that immensely. Kenma steps forward to put a heal out. An Ignition over the wall. One more hit, and the charge, the missiles come through.
Max range value.
That hurts.
I'd say it hurts because he's still not here for another 12 seconds.
Just a single altar. Should be imported to grab. See, the Global's just going to hang on top. Falset does opt to fly in. Now he's in a safe position in the bottom half. Dahaka going to soak his lane and also join here on the left side. Zuna is his choice, misses the drag.
That did bring Expulsion Zone out. Short cooldown, but now we see the Entomb again. Without that, nice gust, gonna force them away, but Ignition so well.
Oh, the burrow is perfect! Onto Zuna, can they get the kill? That ball lightning is doing a lot of damage. Twilight Dream, zero value there, but Crux trying to escape. Moonfire was thrown out. Ignition needs to be able to put this damage on. He does have the peels there, the big shield of Swabs Magoo in front of him, allowing him to put that pressure on while the rest of his team taps the well and looks for the re-engage. There is a well in the bottom lane. Can Naventic afford to step on in for that?
Ignition is just lighting them up, and the Aware is reaping the benefits as they continue to put out the heals. Down goes Zuna, Biggie stepping forward, and Naventic in all sorts of trouble right now.
Imported support are looking so hot right now, putting the damage on. They've got Dahaka back in the top, about to have that, you know, 13 talent tier advantage, good level plus lead for them. And they are working on sappers as well. Everything looking good.
The fact that Naventic got away with only one death there, I mean, their health bars were so low throughout that entire fight.
On both sides they were, though. I mean, yeah, Naventic, they were just struggling with the poison damage, and I just love the ability of Lunara to just stay in for so long, keep pressuring, the way that she was just positioned directly behind Dahaka, because if you step into Dahaka, he's just going to drag you, pull you into your death.
So I want to talk a little bit about Dahaka's build, because we see Tissue Regeneration, which again, with the new level 1 talents, you get that extra max. But let's hold on. Let's hold on just a moment. They are going in. Expulsion Zone going to force them away. Okay,
good blind from Cassie with the Taming Strike. Denies Zuna a lot of that early damage. Twilight Dream onto 2, and one of them is Ariel. Crystal Aegis not going to be there for the save. That's a double kill picked up quickly for Naventic. Fighting back here in this game number 4, but Zuna does go down.
Does go down. That's that Charge Blast. Kenma's in a tough spot. Specialty does go down. The tongue onto Falstad. Good shields there from Zarya. Swabs Magoo gets stuck in the Entomb. His adaptation is down.
Yeah, he's going to go down here. Really well played there from Naventic, finding that collapse, but I got to say that was a bit risky and imported, pushing into that camp, knowing that their opponents were right there.
It's tough. I mean, that's just feeling pretty good about yourself. It's like, look, man, we're dominating, we're doing well. And, well, it didn't go the way that they wanted, although they did manage to take down Malf and Cassia in return. But we are going to take a second look at that team fight because things could have been far different. You can see the overextension. The Wave of Force initially gets them back, but that backline dive by Zuna, Jake.
Yeah, and the Twilight Dream from Kenma there was exactly what they needed. It essentially picked up that double kill, gave Zuna this big free playing ground that they could dive on into, and Crystal Aegis could not be used with that silence. Yeah, they found that one kill as Li Ming, but eventually she ended up falling, but we are back on in. Battle level lead, 14-14 currently though, but there is a big tribute advantage on the side of imported support who don't need to push into that. That could have been... They
thought about it.
They thought about it. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't.
Crux just stood there, and he's like, do I? Do it. You know in comms, like, do we? Nah. Just let it go. Let it go. And they've got the full level lead. They can hit 16, maybe force an advantage. We haven't seen any plays on the boss just yet, but I like the fact Naventic starting to make a priority, take down some structures, get some experience back.
That's huge. You know, catching up in XP, that's a big deal, but also finding ways to get yourself a bell tower advantage. It could, in a lot of situations, that ends up making the difference in the late game if you manage to force your opponents to constantly rotate and clean up after you. Ignition, a bit out here, does not have that leaping strike that we mentioned he could have gone for. A Crystal Aegis will be used, but there's no tank to save him. But he did at least bait out a good number of heroic abilities. You saw Expulsion Zone, Mighty Gust, Entomb, and Twilight Dream. 4 or 5 were used to kill one target.
Yeah, Twilight Dream was a little bit of overkill. Everything else, shorter cooldowns, but that is something that we saw originally when Ariel came out. Fall stand, still in the meta, but at the time was always there. The minute Crystal Aegis comes out, you just gust the rest of the team away. Now you have an isolated target, easy kill.
Well, 10 seconds till Lunar is back up, but the structure priority is here. Sappers being escorted onto this bottom lane. The target of choice for Naventic, who have it now very low. The flank here coming in from Crux will dissuade this push for the time being, and they will stabilize with that 16 advantage, and Lunara, who is now back alive.
Lunara back, 16, not an advantage anymore, as it's pretty even. 16 is going to be locked in for both teams. Hardened focus from Malfurion, feeling pretty confident about not taking damage to get those quicker resets. But we are at our 5th altar phase, Jake, and you know what that means.
That means the triple altars across the map, J-How. B-Kid already taking a lot of good damage, but the Expulsion Zone is once again gigantic. Ah, man, Ignition just going too deep. Once more, Crux follows suit with that cocoon attempt on Zuna. And just like that, they lose 2 right before the triple altars?
I'm not sure where imported support is finding this confidence that seems to be biting them, because right now, it's not working.
No.
And you're sending in a team, heavy lockdown. Swabs Magoo's going to be there, the interrupt on the specialty.
This is terrible. This is really bad. Swabs has nothing left in the tank. And they're so lucky that the Entomb is still on cooldown for 15 more seconds. This is looking like 3 altars for Naventic, who are taking a big lead.
This is going from bad to worse.
Oh, Kenma?
He's keeping it.
He's leashing it.
Well, they're going to keep it alive. Dahaka is bottom. Dahaka, I believe, would have just brush stalkered bottom because he was just top, which means that he will not be able to make it to that fight. So you basically found your way out. And Naventic, just like that, Jake, has
16 damage on the board.
And we're down to 12.
Yeah. We can take a look at this replay. Again, pushing into the same exact camp. The Expulsion Zone locks in the 2 range. Yeah, Li Ming can teleport. Ignition does not have Leaping Strike, and Crux tries to save, but sometimes you just got to cut your losses.
Yeah, and they did not there, and now we see a much different game. What was dominated early by imported support is dominated by imported support again, because they're basically putting themselves in the tough positions. They need to regroup. They're not out of this game, but they are definitely making it more difficult for themselves.
Just got to play safe, play the objective. And the one thing that they have to their benefit is the experience is still even due to their early lead, even though they did have some, you know, some team fight throws. Their bottom of fort is quite low, but all things considered, the game is still very much anyone's to win.
Yeah, I mean, the structure, I guess, back and forth that we traditionally see is non-existent so far. We're 15 minutes in. Not a single structure has gone down in terms of the bell tower.
All right, yeah. It's actually quite uncommon for that to be the case. But we've also seen, you know, a lot fewer sappers than you see sometimes on a map like this be picked up. I don't think the top sappers have been grabbed once.
21 deaths. They're throwing down. I mean, Imported Support, again, is playing more into it. They have more kills. A lot of those were early.
All right, good attempt. Onto Leo. Don't overchase, that's good. They have forced him away, but you can see the scouting drone, give him the full vision. Please do not go for this camp. That camp is the bane of your existence, Imported Support. Thank you.
Scouting drone was there. They did take out the scouting drone, but they're going to rotate down. They realize that this is an opportunity that, should they lose the fight, they will potentially lose the keep and put themselves in a very difficult position. They'll still have 20 by the time the next altar phase. Single altar phase, not exactly dooming for anybody.
But this is big for stabilization. They need it.
Dahaka already going in, the burrow in, the
gust
away. Now we see up on the front line, Dahaka's already used his his burrow as well as his adaptation, but he is staying in that back line.
Cassia couldn't quite get her E due to the Entomb, working against her. The drag comes in, but the last moment they get him out, but Zarya gets popped. The resets from Leeming are good. Nice silence coming out there from the Malfurion, buying them some space, but it's not enough space for this team. The Wave of Force finds the kill, 3-man barrow, and that's going to be a team wipe for Imported Support.
Ariel should have held off on that. The poison ignition, he's going to go after it. Oh, Thornwood just out of range. They didn't get the extra shot, but they did get that all-important map control. Now they can take this bell tower, they can rotate up, grab the camps. Now you have pressures. We're going to take another look at this, but you can see when Dahaka comes in, this is when this fight breaks open. It's going to be here in just a moment, but Ignition again putting the pressure on that team. I think
it's about to go down. It's about to go down. This is the replay. We can see live right now they're grabbing the sapper camps, but that's just going to get them some structure advantage, which is big, buy them space in the map. But yeah, esports, the Hearth going in for specialty, and those sappers, they pressure bottom. Bottom bell tower right now in control for Imported Support. That's fantastic. They have level 20. A lot of big wins gained from that on top of stabilization. I mean, yes, they're behind in health, but they control the map.
I'd love to see them actually rotate middle. Their middle bell tower on the side of Naventic is about a half health. Instead, they're going to try and posture up, threaten some of these. They have 6 sappers, but you have a mighty gust against you instead.
That's so much damage onto B-Kid. 6 sappers lining them up, and they want to force them away. They want to get those sappers in. Roots were used to lock them in place. They're so very low. Moonfire gets them down. Expulsion Zone has even been used here to deny that damage. No Gust has to be used, but they still spend a lot. Now Leoric does end up dying to that drag.
That drag, it's just so deceiving. The cooldown on that Wave of Force almost takes down Zuna. The poison damage is there. The shield is going to keep him alive a moment longer. We are sitting on 2 altars, but it is Leoric that's down. He will be back on the battleground potentially at after the first altar, should be channeled top right by Imported. Instead, they're posturing at middle.
All right, Ice Block has been used, but that's a dead Kenma. Mid bell tower is going to fall. J-How. 5-1.
No, that goes from bad to worse. All right, you are now looking at kill potential. Now, this is just such a travesty.
Oh, Ignition is playing pretty ham. Trying to bait him in, I guess. Crux. Oh! Huge damage! The resets are just
back up.
Too much.
Get the top bell tower back out, and you've got this. You are in complete control as Repulsion is going to send Tomster flying. They're not able to commit the kill, but all they have to do is get both these. The boss is up.
Respawn.
This is Imported Support's game to win.
6 damage for each channel. 10 health left on the core. 1 channel in. They're looking at this last bell tower, as you mentioned.
At that point, they should have just grabbed bell tower and then boss. Instead, they're going for the whole thing. They're like, look, we want all the bell towers. We want all the shots. We want the boss. We don't care. We're taking everything, and we're sending you to a game 5.
They're starting the boss. They have insult to injury. Leo can see all of this. Imported Support ties it up.
Wow. It's like 3 parts to that game.
And the boss shots, they get them too. Overkill.
That's just looking fancy there, and you can just see the way that they dominated. Early game was all theirs. Mid game, it was all theirs to give away. That's what they did. They took weird fights. They tried to invade camps that didn't seem ideal. But the minute it came down to that last fight and the one at the bottom on that, they started getting the resets and started getting the kills and forced them off. I don't want to pick on one person, but if one person doesn't die on that middle bell tower and you just let Leoric come back to life, this game's still going.
Well, Kenma, Try to get fancy. You know, I'm going to quote a good friend of mine. His name's Dunk Train. We run a podcast called Town Hall Heroes, plugs. And, you know, he actually made a statement saying it's so hard to break in as an amateur team because you don't have the same level of practice as the pro teams do. You're not playing at the same level every week. Well, what did we see earlier today? Zealots 4-1 victory in Europe. And here we have Imported Support, our amateur team, our second place amateur team from North America, bringing Naventic tied up to Game 5.
Yeah, and, you know, I think we're going to be able to take a look at a replay, and I'm excited about this because this is where things really start to open up. We're just going to pause it here because I want to highlight the one hero that really comes in. I've called him so many times, all right? He stays in this fight. Adaptation is already used. As we roll it forward now, he's going to stay in that back line, terrorizing me. We just go full speed here because this is where you start to see Ignition and Specialty at the bottom left. They start to come in, and they start to put the pressure on. Yes, the ball lightning is getting value, but it's being spread out. The wave of force, and you pause it right now. If we just sit there and we see what happened, right? We saw the deletion right at the top left. We saw Wave of Force go in. The amount of poison damage. There was actually a really good Malfurion Twilight Dream use there. It actually forced them back. You can see 4 people silenced. But as we move it forward here, the power of the poison and the damage that went there, I think this is where we see that, that wonderful skill shot at the end. But, I mean, that right there, the amount of poison damage, the amount of burst damage that we see from Specialty as he continues to make his way up, and just one magic missile caught there, power hungry, reset, Impale coming in, everything going their way, and then they just continue to drop. I mean, just so much Specialty.
No mana, nothing left in the tank. Perfectly.
Everybody there made plays. I said it in the beginning. If you didn't know their names before, whether they win this series or not, if you don't know their names before, these people have made their way up the open division. Crux made the plays on an Uberak, one of the most terrifying heroes right now that made it through the draft.
Right.
Ignition. Outside of some positioning midway through the game, Specialty, landing skill shots, going a build that excels in getting the resets, putting the pressure. There was a team fight they lost in the bottom, but he managed to get the resets, evened it up a little bit, made it a little less worrisome. These people are making plays. And right now, we have a 2-2 series. I am loving what I'm seeing out of Imported Support.
Well, guys, it's time to head to Twitter. Use the hashtag HGC. Let us know who you want to win. We'll be back in a few.
Dahaka already going in, the burrow in, the
gust.
The gust away. Now we see up on the front line, Dahaka's already used his his burrow as well as his adaptation, but he is staying in that back line.
Cassia couldn't quite get her E due to the Entomb. Working against her, the drag comes in, but the last moment they get him out, but Zarya gets popped. The resets from Leeming are good. Nice silence coming out there from the Malfurion, buying them some space, but it's not enough space for the truth. The Wave of Force finds the kill, 3-man barrow, and that's going to be a team wipe for Imported Support.
Oriole should have held off on that. The poison, Ignition, he's going to go after it. Oh, Thornwood at kill potential. Now, this is just such a travesty.
Oh, Ignition is playing pretty ham. Trying to bait him in, I guess. Crutch. Oh! Huge damage. The resets are just
back off.
too much.
Get the top bell tower back out, and you've got this. You are in complete control as Repulsion is going to send Tomster flying. They're not able to commit the kill, but all they have to do is get both these, the bosses up.